What up? It's your girl DJ Reese, and I have a very talented woman on the line right now. She's a life coach, author, minister, and medium. Miss Lakara Foster, what's up?
Hey there. Thank you for having me.
Man, it's a pleasure. Thank you for being on my show today. I really appreciate it. So we're going to jump right into the interview. Can you tell our listeners where you're from?
I am from New Orleans, Louisiana, and I reside in Atlanta, Georgia.
Okay. You're where it's all happening at right now. That's a good place to be.
Yes, it's definitely a happening city.
So I have a question about where you're originally from. Do people try to connect your gift with the stigma of voodoo from New Orleans at all, or you've never encountered that?
I haven't personally encountered it. I'm not always sure what people are thinking, but I am, very much aware that voodoo it's a religion, and it's not my religion. I'm
right.
Christ-minded. So I'm not Buddhist. I'm not, Muslim. I'm not voodooist. I'm not any of those things. And so I kind of almost feel like it's unfair for people to just kind of associate certain things with a particular religion, and they don't really have a knowledge about it.
Agreed. What is your denomination, by the way?
I am Pentecostal, actually.
Wow. Ooh, that's what I grew up in. So that's just, wow, okay.
Yeah. It's so interesting because I tell people that I didn't grow up in a church. And then when we did go to church, we, attended a Baptist church where my father grew up. And my grandmother was an active member before she passed. But my parents didn't make us go to church. So I really didn't start going to church for about 10 years ago. I was very drawn to my pastor. I attend the Vision Church of Atlanta, here in Atlanta, where Bishop Lucy Allen. Very drawn to his teachings and really like his style and his progressiveness. So we are Progressive Pentecostal. The denomination is the United Progressive Pentecostal. And so it was so interesting. I joined church, and then I was going to get baptized, and I called my dad. I was telling my dad, I'm going to get baptized. And he was like, "You getting baptized?" He's like, I didn't know you were going to church. I'm like, "Yeah." And so he's like, "What denomination is it?" And I was like, "I don't know. Let me call you back," right? So I called my friend, and I'm like, "What denomination are we?" And she's like, "Pentecostal." So I called him back, and I was like, "Oh, we're Pentecostal." He's like, "Pentecostal? What do you know about Pentecostalism?" I like my church.
Okay. No, I don't know. You say you guys are progressive, so does that mean you guys have like a strict dress code? And when I grew up in a Pentecostal church, like we had to wear skirts and dresses all the time, and couldn't do certain things. Okay.
No, it's actually an affirming church. And by affirming, meaning that we affirm, it is founded on the principle of John 3:16, and that's basically like this church is for the whosoever's of the world. And so, we are very much an affirming church, and everybody's welcome. And so, no, there's no strict dress code. There's no strict any of that. It's that for everybody who really wants to, learn the teachings of Jesus Christ.
Okay. Well, if I'm in Atlanta, I'm going to come by. I need to stop by.
You should absolutely come by, yeah.
Thank you for the invitation. Now, you're a medium. For the listeners who don't know what that is, can you explain it?
Yes, I can actually. I am able to connect with loved ones who have departed. I tell people that, all we are energy. We are energy before we enter these bodies, while we're in them, and when we depart from them. And energy can't be created or destroyed. And so my gift allows me to connect with those who have departed these physical bodies.
Okay. All right. Now, when did you find out that you had this gift?
So I am both a psychic and a medium. I'm a psychic medium. And it's so interesting because I don't think that I knew until I was older and I was reflecting upon the way that I was able to know certain information or able to get away with some things, right? And so as I got to probably my late teens, early 20s, it was like, oh, this is what this is, right? Prior to that, kind of like I thought that it was something that everybody had, that everybody could hear the things that I was hearing or know the things that I was knowing prior to them happening, because it would be like I would know, like I could be standing on the street corner and I would see like a white BMW coming by, right? And then 30 seconds later, like a white BMW would come by. And I think, honestly, yeah, one of my most pronounced things, I was probably maybe like 24, and I was on a trip to the mountains, and I literally like saw a deer cross my path, right? This is what I saw in my mind. And then like Spirit spoke to me and said, this is going to happen, and when it does, hit the deer, right? Like, don't try to hit the deer. Like 30 minutes later, right? Like it was so fast though, right? Like I saw it, I heard the voice, and then I was in the car, and then like 30 minutes later, the deer like literally like a girl just like walked in the street, right? Like it wasn't running or nothing, and like I just hit the deer, right? And then like landed on the car, and then like bounced off the car, and like this truck was hitting it that came in. So what happened was, what we later realized was that because it was really, really dark, right? So on the way back, it was like night, daytime. If I had swerved to the left, I would have hit this 18-wheeler that was coming, right?
Oh my God.
I had swerved right, then we would have gotten off this cliff.
Oh my God.
It was kind of like those things, and I kind of remember kind of like, oh my gosh, I remember when this happened, remember this happened. But I don't think that I actually called it anything at that time, you know. It wasn't until I got older that it was like, oh, this is what this is called. This is called psychicness, or this is called mediumship. But those things have been happening like my whole life.
Do you get a lot of deja vu as well, or not really?
Not really. There are hints of it, but not a lot. Not as much as I like will see things before it happens.
Okay, cool. How did you break this down to your family and friends? I know that had to be tough.
Not at all, right? So because not at all. Like I'm from New Orleans, right? So
you got a point.
Yeah, I actually had an aunt when I was a kid, and it would be like people that would come and see her. Like they lived in the country, like this area called Mansur, Louisiana. It's about 3 hours north of New Orleans, and I would spend like summers there. And my aunt, who's my mom's aunt, so she's actually my great aunt. Like people would come and see her all the time, right? And as a kid, it's like, you know, I didn't know what was going on, and you certainly didn't ask, you know.
Right.
But as I got older, I was about I think I was like 18 or 19, and my mom, you know, just kind of was like, yeah, you know, your aunt has this gift, and that's why these people, you know, you always see these people kind of come and see her and everything. And she's like, but she's getting older, you know, and there's been talking to family, like, who's going to get the gift. And she's like, and everybody seems to think it's going to be you. Wow. And then she's like, but yeah, she's like, your aunt, you know, she didn't drink, and she didn't smoke, and she didn't party. And I was like, girl, I don't want that gift then. Y'all can keep that. So I'm literally finding out like in the last year or so that my dad actually has the gift as well. Yeah, I was like, yeah, you could have told me this, right? I mean, we've only been living, you know, like my mom and dad have been married for 47 years, so he's been in my life my entire life.
Exactly. So they've been doing this forever, and they never mentioned
girl, right, making you think like you like the only one, but
right.
He actually sees in dreams, so people actually come to him in dreams. Loved ones come to him in dreams.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Now, you have a web series called The Gift. What influenced you to get a web series?
Oh, wow, that's such a great question. So I didn't want to do that. But, you know, I tell people my life was very compartmentalized. Like, I had a lot going on. But it was like several audiences that I entertained. So I had a spoken word and live music show. I had church. I'm a professor. So I had all these different things going on.
Wow.
I had my reading, you know, my reading audience and stuff. And last year, the Holy Spirit, like, you have to integrate this. Like, you have to come forward with this gift, because I had been practicing for 20 years only on referrals. Like, only on referrals. If you came to me, you knew what I did. Somebody told you what I did, or they experienced what I did. so I wasn't meeting like random people, you know. And then I started meeting random people. And then, so yeah, the Holy Spirit was like, this is what you have to do. And so then different like prophets really started kind of confirming for me. Like they would come and they would be like, you're going to be on television. Are you going to do this? And I'd be like, yep, I've heard that before. Like I keep hearing that. And then, a friend of mine who shares the same gift, like she literally just kind of set me down, last year. And she was like, listen, like you're going to be on television with your gift. And I finally surrendered, and I was like, okay. And then the next day, she called me, and she says, and your show's going to be called The Gift. I was like, oh, that's simple, right? Like, so, and then the next day, I'm literally flipping through a magazine, working on my vision board, and I see it's an article titled The Gift, right? So I was like, okay, I don't need any more competition for that. So then I kind of went to my first producer at the time, Nike. And I said, hey, like, this is what I'm supposed to do. And she said, let's do it. And then the series just kind of started evolving, like, really, truly by itself. Like, it is truly spirit-led. Like, I keep telling people, like, I'm not that smart, right? So I'd be like...
Yes, you are.
What I mean is, like, when people, like, when you see it, like, I will have this whole elaborate, like... I was like, oh, like every episode is going to be 30 minutes long, and then we're going to do this. Girl, Spirit was like, no, you got 10 minutes. That's it. Like,
wow.
This is what it's going to be, and this is how this is going to unfold. And so it was like literally like it just kind of started unfolding and having a mind of its own.
Awesome. That's so great. Now, like we mentioned, you're a minister as well. How do you connect being a minister and a medium together?
So that's a really good question. So again, I've never felt like I needed to choose between my faith and my gift, if you will. And the more, like, I'm getting my doctorate right now in ministry, and my doctorate is actually based on my gift, and it's based in James 1:17 that says every good and perfect gift is from above. And so it's really looking at, one, all of our gifts are good and they're perfect and they're from God, right? And then two, having the revelation even the other day, I was sitting in a funeral and the choir was singing Everlasting Life. And I heard God say, like, I promised you all eternal life, but how will people know that I've kept my promise if you don't show them that I have?
Wow.
So I believe that is my purpose, is to demonstrate that life goes on even after we leave these physical bodies.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
When were you called into ministry?
So it's so funny because, again, I think it's one of these things, like my dad was he has been saying for years, like, you're going to preach the word of God. And I'll be like, I don't know how I'm going to do that with this Hennessy drinking I'm doing, right? Like, so, like, he would be like so adamant about it, right? And so, but I love church. I love the things that I was learning. And then I don't know, like my bishop asked me to teach Bible studies. So I was like, awesome, I'll do that. But I didn't even at that time, like with all that I was doing, was necessarily feeling like God had called me to minister. And I don't believe that happened for me until like 2 years ago, which would have been like July 2016, August 2016. And it was so weird because I was in church and I was clear as day that God was like, this is what you're going to be doing. And I was like, okay, God, like, do I need to go to school? Do I need to do I need to go to seminary? And like, literally, like, this is how it went. I said, okay, God, yes, I will do this. You want me to preach the word of God? I will do this, yes. And then a week later, my bishop broke his ankle, and I was sitting on a conference call. And in the call, our executive pastor is telling all the, it's deacons and ministers and all these people on the call. And he's like, some of you all will have to step up and preach. Bishop has to sit down for 4 weeks. And I was at a basketball game while I was on the call, and I was thinking, clearly he's not talking to me. I'm not licensed, I'm not ordained, I'm none of that. So I'm like, I'm good, right? And then like a week later, I get like a call, like, Bishop wants you to preach on Sunday. And I was like, what? Like, that is insane. But of course, I told God yes, so I couldn't then turn around and tell Bishop no, Right. So then, since then, I've preached a couple of times at church. And I feel like I feel like one of the things that I'm certainly called to And my book number 4 kind of speaks to this that I'm working on now. Is my gift allowing people to see God in a new way.
Okay, I like that. I have a book club, so I might ask you
awesome.
to speak. You might have to come in on the conference call again.
Absolutely.
That's awesome. I'll make sure I promote that book. And now, what's your advice for people who believe that there's no life after death, or when you're dead, you can no longer communicate through the spirit?
Well, I think honestly, how can I put this? I mean, I think people are kind of entitled to feel and believe whatever is comfortable for them, But I'm certainly not one to try to convince people otherwise, and so, but I can only do what I'm called to do. So even if I'm out and Spirit says, hey, I need you to go tell this person such and such, I will go in the most respectful way possible, and I'll just explain, hey, I'm a psychic medium. I know this might sound weird, but, your grandmother's coming through. Can you allow me to give the messages? And I have never been told no. So, I think even if people, and here's the thing, like I've had people to come and get readings and then tell me they were skeptic, and they'll be like, I'm not skeptic no more. I'll be like, oh, well, I'm glad you told me this afterwards, And so, it just is what it is. And then just kind of like taking the spookiness out of it, like I've had people say, well, like one lady, she tickles me. She was like, the first time she was coming over to my house for a reading, she was like, oh, I was so scared. Like, she's like, I thought you were going to have like a turban on and you were old and you were going to have a crystal ball. I'm like, girl, no. Like, that's not how that works. And so, kind of dealing, doing away with the stigma and the misconceptions. And it's like, I deal with energy, just like somebody can sing or somebody can, do art, or somebody, like, whatever other people's gifts are, this just happens to be my gift.
Right. Okay. Now, you're also an author, like we mentioned. What sparked the creation of the book, The Grown Women's Guide to Greatness?
Oh, that is such a great question. And so, again, as you can see, like, I'm always conversing with God. So, literally, I had been wanting to, I wrote my first book in 2005. And then I was like, okay, I wanted to write another book, and nothing would come, like no inspiration, nothing would come. So in 2011, I was in my last year, what would be my last year as a guidance counselor. And I just kept saying, like, God, I know that there's more. I know that you want me to do more. If you would just tell me what the more is, I'll do the more. And so March of that year, I was sitting at my desk at work, and the Holy Spirit said, I want you to write a book. And I emphatically said no.
Oh.
I said no. Yes, I said no. And then I was like, no, because when I wanted to write a book, you wouldn't give me no ideas, so I'm not doing it. And then I was like, it's testing season. I got to work with these kids. So I don't even have time to write a book, right? That's what I said. I don't have time. Literally the next day, my supervisor comes in and lets us know that our whole department is getting laid off. Boom. There go that time you just told the Holy Spirit you ain't having
Yeah.
So after that, honestly, I just kind of surrendered, and I said, okay, God, what is this book about? What are we doing? Like, and so, God gave me the title, The Grown Women's Guide to Greatness, and I didn't even fully understand what that meant. Literally, what I didn't understand it until the book was completely done. Like, what I had wrote about, what it was about, what I had created. It was really about, when we say grown woman, we tend to think like, oh, own house, own car, independent. And God was like, no, like, grown in the spirit world, right? In the spirit realm, and you are spiritually mature, and you have accepted your calling or your divine assignment, and you're walking in it, right? That's what grown meant. And then, and just the greatness, we know God to be the great I am. So it was about leading God's women back to God, and not like even from a religious perspective, because you could be any religion and read it, but really from a spiritual perspective and say, who am I? What am I called to do? Why am I here? Who am I to serve with this gift before my time runs out?
Okay. That's awesome. Thank you for sharing that. Now, you've been blessed to be a life coach as well. I mean, you just do everything. Does having that position in other people's lives ever weigh you down at all?
No, not really, because now I've incorporated more of what I do from a spiritual aspect. So I really don't say life coach much anymore as much as spiritual coach, which it allows me to kind of integrate these messages that we're receiving from Spirit and helping people to incorporate them into their daily lives. You know, it's like Spirit is giving us messages, and I tell people when Spirit brings things up, it's kind of confirmation that people are moving in the right direction. So what I'm doing when I'm giving a reading, Spirit is giving me like signs and symbols on my end, and I know what they mean. And so then I'm communicating them, you know, with the people that I'm giving a reading to. So, for example, if Spirit makes me draw a house, that for me means transition, right? And I'll tell them, like, I can see whether or not this person is making a physical transition, like if they're moving into a new house or out of a house or some type of movement there, or if there's some type of major life movement, right? And I can say, okay, like Spirit showing me that you're thinking about going back to school, and they'll be like, oh my gosh, I am. Well, because Spirit brought it up, they're confirming for you, they're going to support you in that decision.
Okay. It makes sense.
So it's just kind of like, it just kind of works that way. Like I'm not just kind of doing the regular kind of life coaching. We set goals. I mean, we do, you know what I'm saying, with some of our clients that are repeat clients. But, for the most part, some people will just come get one reading, and I'll say, this is what, not only are your loved ones coming to say, but the psychic part allows me to say, this is what I see for you down the line. Now, whether or not, whatever you do with the information is what you do with the information, but this is what's coming to, yeah.
Okay. Now, how was your experience working on VH1's Atlanta Exes?
It was a very, very profound experience. It really, truly was. And that the women that I got an opportunity to connect with, like there was one in particular, Christina Johnson, who was on the show. She's CeeLo Green's ex-wife, and she's done some amazing things even since the show. But I knew when I got there, I knew that she and I would connect in some way. And you kind of just never know. You kind of feel that or whatever. And so she actually was the first radio interview that we actually ended up doing right after Thanksgiving, I believe it was, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe right before Thanksgiving. So, yeah, she actually was the first one. And and we both kind of talked about, like, in that moment that we actually met, that we knew that we would reconnect somehow. So that kind of gave me an opportunity to really kind of see what this television life is going to be like. It kind of gave me a glimpse of that.
Okay, cool. Now, I can't let this interview go by without asking you about Oprah. So how was it meeting Oprah?
So it was so interesting because that was when that was a while ago. But what I tell people more so than even meeting Oprah was the way in which it manifested. And that I knew that I, like, ever since I would watch her forever. And I was like, one day I just said, I want to be a guest on her show.
Wow.
And I just put it on my list of things that would happen. I was like, I'm going to be a guest on the show. And then literally, like, I went on there and it was like they asked you the question, do you want to be a guest on the show? I swear it was like God talking to me. I was like, yep, I sure do. And then I just started writing. I wrote into the show and I answered the questions and all the things that they were asking. And then 3 weeks later, they called me like, hey, we want to be a guest on the show.
Insane. Oh my God.
Yeah, and so I told people like you say that again.
I said, I wish I did something like that.
Well, that's what I try to teach too, is like the awesome power of manifestation and what it really means and how we really manifest.
Oh, that's amazing. Now, what upcoming projects are you currently working on?
Oh, thank you for asking that. So, there is a book in the works, book number 4, and that book is called The Gift, an invitation to see God in a new way. So we have that. We're also working on season 2 of The Gift. For those that are interested, they can go and watch the entire season 1 on YouTube. And you can just search Lakara Foster TV there. You can watch the entire season 1 there. And it's 8 episodes, and literally you probably can watch all of them in about an hour. And so, so we're going to film season 2. We're going to start filming in February of 2019. We plan to spend about a month down in New Orleans, and there's some amazing people that I really want to interview outside of kind of, other people that we meet along the way. But I would love to interview Big Frida, so I'm putting that out there.
Okay.
Yeah, so there are a couple of people that I do want to interview in New Orleans, being home and connected to the city. And then we're planning a tour. And so the tour is going to go to 5 major cities, and we're planning to kick off the tour in February.
Okay.
And we're going to go to New Orleans, Atlanta, D.C., Houston, and New York. That is our plan. And I think that's it. I think those are the major things so it's all things to give. All things to give.
That is a lot. You have a busy schedule on your hands.
Yes.
Before you go, can you share your social media with our listeners, please?
Absolutely. I am Lakara with the Gift on Instagram and on Facebook and at Gmail. And the website is under construction as we speak, so that should be coming in the next couple of days. And so people who are interested in booking can hit me up on either of those mediums. They can email me. They can go to Lakara with the Gift on Facebook and click the Book Now button. And some people just go to my IG and hit me up there. And so we'd be happy to do, I'd be happy to do readings for your audience if they want to book.
Okay, awesome. Cool. Well, thank you so much for sharing your gift on my show today. I appreciate it.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I wish you the absolute best of luck.
Thank you so much. It's your girl, DJ Reese, and I'm out.
Digital Dope Radio.